hey, we may not agree on a ton of things, but we do agree that in America, there are no kings.
They're really low IQ people, aren't they? That's Joe Scarborough, of course, with his even lower IQ semi-inflatable flotation device of a third wife, Mika Brzezinski. Kind of sad. I think we blame public education for that. What is the... gonna have to think about that. Well, once again, a very happy Monday to you, and we remain at 888-630-9625. The Democrat Party is a violent mob of criminals. And I see we have people on the line. We have great people on the line, wonderful people. I'm looking at a couple of the comments and making me laugh, but let's go back. Let's go to the telephones, and I want to get to some of the No Kings violence. And today is an anniversary. Today is the 45th anniversary, 45 years ago today. What happened 45 years ago today? Huh? Jasmine doesn't know. She's much too young for all this sort of stuff. And Michael Piercy, he's a little too young for all this stuff, but not way too young for all this stuff. 45 years ago today, March 30th, 1981, keeping in mind that President Ronald Wilson Reagan had won the presidential race in November of 1980, and I think it might have been November 4th of 1980, and he was inaugurated, as you might expect, on January 20th of 1981, January 20th, and then February, March, 2 months and 10 days later, Ronald Reagan was shot and nearly killed by a would-be assassin because the left murders everything. And these people that call themselves Democrats aren't liberals. They're the left, right? So today is the 45th anniversary, I remember the day very well, of Ronald Wilson Reagan being shot by John Hinckley Jr. outside the Washington Hilton Hotel. And what was it, 70 days, as I just said, 2 months plus 10 days, 70 days into his presidency, his first term, and there's crazy stuff going on there. But before I get back to that, and I do want to get back to that, and I got a little bit of a funny story about that day, because what are you going to do? But let's go to the telephones and talk to the nice American people first. Let's go to, and we are at 888-630-9625. Let's go to Mike calling from Lisbon, Ohio. Michael, you're on the Chris Plante Show.
Hello, Chris.
Hey, Mike.
You took my call. On Saturday, there was a No Kings rally downtown Lisbon, and I just happened to be down there at the hardware store. So I walked down to talk to one of the people just to see why they were there, what they were protesting.
Uh-huh.
And what they were protesting everything Trump was doing, because Trump is an anti-revolutionary.
Mm-hmm.
Secondly, I said, I can't believe, I don't believe in what you're doing because I'm a Roman Catholic, and Democratic Party is antithetical to Catholicism. The guy said to me, hey, I'm a Catholic. I said, well, then he started talking about inclusion, and I said, well, the Democratic Party supports abortion, homosexuality, transgenderism, so on and so forth. But yet it just went over his head. Well, you just have to be inclusive.
Right.
You can still be a Catholic. And
bumper sticker brains.
Yeah, and he was really struck by when I told him he can't be a Catholic and a Democrat. He actually teaches at St. Paul Catholic School in St.
Wow. Oh, that's amazing.
It is. And at the end of the conversation, I said to him, don't be a spawn of Satan. It just kind of stopped him in his tracks. I don't know if it did any good or not, but I just wanted to share that. And, I've been praying for a long time because I have family members of my own family who are like that their hearts be softened, their ears be opened, and their eyes be able to see the gospel of Jesus Christ. And that's the only thing that's going to change these people and change this country.
Yeah.
That's why I pray for all these people, and I see them try, run up against them and talk to them. So, but there is hope out there, though. Too, I spoke to a guy at the hardware store. It was at first. He was a 19-year-old, and he said we were talking about the No Kings rally. He said, "Yeah," he said, "you just can't talk to these people. They're so closed." So that was good. I found that a lot of young people are like that.
Yeah.
The group that was there in Lisbon, they were older, white hair, gray hair.
Right.
For the most part, there were a few young people, maybe in the late teens or early 20s, but it's only a few. Most were up in age, like me. So.
Right.
Anyway, God bless you for
baby
all that
boomers.
you do.
Well.
Yep.
Thank you. No, look, and you're expressing the perspective of a kind and generous and giving and forgiving Catholic and representative of Western civilization, and you like to put everything in context. And even the Catholic schools have been taken over, as you said, St. Paul's, and this guy's a teacher at St. Paul's, and he's like, he's pro-abortion, he's pro-child genital mutilation. He's, it's like. Mike, it's like Joe Biden claiming he's a Catholic and Nancy Pelosi claiming she's a Catholic, right?
Right. It's the same thing, but they don't realize that everything they're doing, they're nailing Christ back up on the cross again by what they do, what they believe, what they want us to force us all to do and to pay for also.
And to pay for it too, yeah. Yeah. Did you see any signs that said, like, send us Barabbas?
No. It would have been funny if there was.
Yeah, it would have been funny if there was. Yeah. They're not funny enough to have send us Barabbas.
No, they don't have that sense of humor, I'm afraid, like we do.
No, they don't. They don't have any sense of humor. See, and you're good-natured about it, and your tone is nice and polite, and you're inviting people to join the Catholic Church, and you want them to be saved and not be dupes of Beelzebub for the rest of their lives. And so you're being kind and generous, and they live in their own little bubbles and their cocoons, and they don't talk to anyone from outside of their cocoon. And when they do it, it confuses them and angers them, doesn't it?
Very much so. There's a lot of anger that comes out of these people, especially when you talk about abortion and homosexuality. I think, as you and others have said, this is their main sacrament.
Yeah.
In the Democratic Party, I call it the Church of Satan.
Yeah.
It really is. They're very similar to the jihadis. They're just the same. I would say the way they've been brainwashed and how they think, or they don't think, rather. They cannot rationally discern good from evil. And if you've been told something, you believe this, and that's all they do.
That's all they do. That's a fact. And and that's right. And they've been brainwashing people. Again, I played the Monty Python clip of, you're all individuals, and the Francis Fox Piven chanting people. And then, years ago during the Occupy Wall Street thing, and she's a communist who wants to bankrupt capitalism by bankrupting the United States of America. And then they're doing the same chant this weekend over the No Kings thing, and they have no idea what they're talking about, what these words mean. Again, at the same time, they're supporting Hamas, which is a tyranny of the First Order. They're supporting the Islamic Revolution in Tehran, which is a theocratic tyranny, an Islamist theocratic tyranny, being supported by people that call themselves liberals, and they're all white because no black people are stupid enough to get out and protest for this. And just amazing stuff. They love the King Frederick X in Denmark. They love the Ayatollah in Tehran. Yeah. They love the dead leader of Hamas in Gaza. They're on the side of the bad guys everywhere you look. And they, what's his name? Kermit Gosnell. Did you see? The the abortionist who went to prison forever because he would have babies born alive and then he'd kill them, and then he'd stuff them into jars and keep their remains. The abortion doctor, Kermit Gosnell, hero of the Democrat Party. And he died in prison last week. And the Democrats are actually upset about that. Poor Kermit Gosnell. All the innocent babies, they want to club them to death with meat tenderizers. But Kermit Gosnell, they love. Luigi Mangione kills a CEO, and they love Luigi Mangione. There's something terrible. Donald Trump was shot through the ear in Butler, Pennsylvania, and Democrats celebrated that all over the country. They made fun of it on late night TV. This is a death cult, this gang, and they are the party of Jonestown. You know, that was going to be a socialist utopia, Jonestown. They're lunatics, Mike. The Democrat Party is just not what it used to be. I grew up in a Democrat Party household. I don't recognize this party.
No, that's what I try to tell that guy there. The other thing, too, is, they don't believe that at the moment of conception, God gives, a soul to that newly formed human being. They don't believe that at all. I used to do sidewalk counseling in Dayton in the 80s for 5 years behind abortion clinics there.
Wow.
And I just saw how the woman would come out. Some would be bleeding. They'd be hardly walking. We would try to give them help, take them to a hospital, whatever.
Yeah.
And it was just awful. And these people have no concern for all the damage they do. It's just power.
Well, it's what they've been taught. It's what they've been raised on.
Yeah.
Now, let me, and I like pointing this out because it's true, Mike, and that is, this is the same political party that fought the Civil War for slavery. It's the same political party of the plantation and of slavery.
Right.
And they were taught at the time. Now they say, oh, slavery, it's the most horrible thing ever. And they try to blame somebody else. It's the Democrat Party all the way. And they take no responsibility, no adult responsibility for anything. But the same party that taught that slavery is just fine and rationalized it and justified it and said the Bible said it's okay and da-da-da. The same people today are saying abortion, 1 million abortions a year just in the United States of America is good. You get the Margaret Sanger Award. It's real good. Hillary Clinton got the Margaret Sanger Award. Hanoi Jane Fonda got the Margaret Sanger Award. I played a soundbite of her earlier today. And they once again, this party rationalizes this, the abortion and what they have done to Black America, the Democrat Party, in the name of saving Black America. They've demolished Black America. And because they're doing a real good job. And these are the same people that were preaching more than a century ago that, slavery is justified and slavery is good and we're doing the right thing. We're doing a good thing. And the same, it was irrational then and it's irrational now. And it's the same team, Mike. That's the thing about that.
I know it is. Also, they believe that this is a good, and that, they really do. They think this is, the best thing since sliced white bread.
Yeah.
And this is what's going to bring heaven on earth.
It's the best thing since sliced white children.
Yeah.
Yeah, sliced white children. Mike, thank you. And 40% of the Black population, and they're saving the Black people. Mike, thank you. Thank you very much for that. Now, let's take a thing here because I want to get to these next sound bites together. And I want to get to the anniversary of Ronald Reagan having been shot 45 years ago today. Again, and, the Democrats, they like shooting presidents and they like shooting, pretty much everybody, the Democrat Party. Maybe they shouldn't have Second Amendment rights, but we should. Registered Democrats should not pass the background test to buy a gun, the NICS test, right? And the background check. And they probably shouldn't be allowed to fly on commercial airliners. TSA should check. Let me say, I got to see your voter registration card. No registered Democrats on this flight. It's going to be a peaceful flight with normal, nice people. How about that? You think that'd be I think that's a good approach. Good plan. All right, I've got more coming up and the anniversary of the Ronald Reagan shooting as well. Democrat Party is a violent criminal party and should be banned. let's keep in mind the first Republican president was who? Who was the first Republican president? Abraham Lincoln. And he ended slavery, and the Democrats shot him in the head and murdered him. That was in 1865. And then in 1881, Republican President James Garfield was murdered, assassinated by a Democrat. Then that's not even 20 years later. And then in 1901, 20 years later, exactly 20 years later, Republican President William McKinley was assassinated, shot and killed. And then 45 years ago today, Ronald Wilson Reagan was shot 2 months and 10 days after being sworn in as President of the United States. Bryant Gumbel was hosting the NCAA College Basketball Championship that night. The Oscars were supposed to be on that night, too. The president had been shot.
Good evening. I'm Bryant Gumbel coming to you from the floor of Philadelphia Spectrum. Tonight there was to have been a coast-to-coast celebration of American entertainment, but the crowning of a national collegiate basketball champion here in Philadelphia and the Academy Awards that were scheduled for later tonight in Los Angeles have been tempered considerably by the events of this afternoon in Washington, D.C. For those of you who may not have heard or may be tuning in late, there was an assassination attempt, on the life of President Reagan today in Washington. 6 shots were fired into the presidential crowd, wounding 1 policeman, 1 Secret Service agent, wounding White House Press Secretary James Brady in the head. He is in critical condition right now, and wounding the president. A bullet penetrated his left lung. That bullet was surgically removed this afternoon. Should further developments warrant it, we will be going back to NBC News for updates. At any event, we will be checking back at halftime and immediately after this game to update you on the events of today in Washington.
Yes, Bryant Gumbel. Remember him? It was a big deal. And Ronald Reagan was shot. He survived. Of course, I met Ronald Reagan many times. The Secret Service agent was Tim McCarthy. I met him. The D.C. police officer was Thomas Delahanty. I never actually met him. And the press secretary, James Brady, I'd met many times before he was shot, and I met him after he had been shot, too. Ronald Reagan shot and wounded 45 years ago today. And now John Hinckley sells T-shirts, and the Democrats buy them out faster than John Hinckley can produce them. John Hinckley sells tickets, so you can go hear him play his acoustic guitar terribly, and his tickets sell out immediately. He usually never plays the concert because they canceled him. But Abraham Lincoln, Republican president, shot and killed, 1865. James Garfield, Republican president, shot and killed, 1881. William McKinley, Republican president, shot and killed, 1901. John F. Kennedy was a Democrat, killed by a communist. The insane pro-Hamas, pro-Jihad, pro-Hezbollah, pro-Houthis, pro-Islamic Revolution, anti-American Democratic Party. They're pro-murder. They're pro-illegal aliens. If you're a mentally ill, illegal alien with half a brain because you've already been shot in the head once in Colombia, and you murder an 18-year-old college student who's never done anything wrong, then the Democrat Party is on the side of the murderer with a half a brain. Why, if I had half a brain? And we got all that time. There's audio I want to get to, and there are pretty amazing stuff. And there are great calls. I see great calls on the big board as well. I wanted to mention, I'll try not to go too long here. 45 years ago today, I was living in Santa Barbara, California. Had moved there 2 years earlier from Chicago, Illinois. When I had just barely turned 19 years old, moved to Santa Barbara from Chicago. And I was with, on this date 45 years ago, I was 21 years old, and I was with my then girlfriend, the woman, my beloved girlfriend, who would eventually become my ex-wife. So that's that's good progress being made there. But I was with my girlfriend. We were shacked up at the time. She had to go to have her wisdom teeth removed, and her wisdom too. But that's another thing. So I had taken her to the dentist, whoever does the remove your wisdom teeth thing. Taken her and drove her car, a Renault Lec car. Remember the Renault Lec car? Had the pull-back rooftop with the canvas thing. It was kind of a fun car to drive, but it was French, And so it gave up easily. But they drove her to the place to get her wisdom teeth pulled. And then I went and did whatever. They said come back in an hour and a half or whatever. So I came to pick her up, and she's heavily sedated because she just had all 4 wisdom teeth pulled at the same time. So I came in and I, took her by the arm and escorted her out. I'm doing the hand things, like hand on her back and holding her wrist, and brought her out to the car. And the doctor said, here's this piece of paper. Take it to the pharmacy and get this painkiller for the woman who will become your ex-wife someday. I'm like, how do you know she'll become my ex-wife? I just made that part up. So I took her and the piece of paper from the doctor and went to the drugstore. I went into the drugstore and got the pills, and left my my girlfriend in the car because she just had her wisdom teeth taken out and she had been sedated and very heavily knocked out. And I came out of the drugstore in Santa Barbara, walking to the car, and the Lec car was bouncing. I'm going like this with my hands. The Lec car was bouncing back and forth, and I looked, and she was jumping all over the place on the inside. Her name was Sarah. It still is Sarah. And she's jumping all over the inside of the car. And I'm like, what? I went over and I opened the car, and she's yelling and yipping, but she had just had all 4 wisdom teeth taken out. So she, and I said, what are you? She wasn't typically a hysterical person. And I now sat down in the car, and I said, what are you saying? And she's pointing at the dashboard, like pointing at the radio, and all you had then was AM, FM radio, right? I'm pointing at the radio, and I could tell now she's trying to inform me something had happened she had just heard on the radio. And I said, and I stopped, and I said, I said, okay, and I started doing sign language, like hand signals, because I'm being a wise ass, and I said, okay, give me a hand sign, and I slapped my forearm 3 times with 3 fingers. I said, how many syllables? Because now we're playing charades, right? We're playing charades. And so, how many syllables? And she said, Reagan. I said, Reagan. I said, Reagan. Okay, Reagan. It's Reagan. She said, yes. And then she said, shut, and raised her hand made a gun shape with her hand and went clink, clink. And I said, Reagan has been shot? She said, yes. Yes. I said, was that yes? She said, yes. Yes. So Reagan has been shot. So I started the car and put it in gear, a little 4-speed Renault Lec car, and raced back to the house and put on CNN. Was kind of a new thing. CNN was a new thing at the time, and they were going wall to wall. Put on CNN. And, Reagan has been shot, and her mouth was full of cotton balls, and it had been injected, and swollen and puffy because you just had all 4 wisdom teeth removed. But it was, turned into a sign language and kind of a game show where I had to interpret what she was trying to say and all that. And that's how I found out that Reagan had been shot. Isn't that amazing? I had already met Ronald Reagan a number of times by that time, and Reagan was shot. All right, now with that said, let's go to a phone call, and then I want to get back to audio of the crazy Democrats violently attacking the United States in their latest civil war. Let's go to Liz calling from Sterling, Virginia. Elizabeth, you're on the Chris Plante Show.
Hello.
Hi, Liz.
First, I want to thank you for getting the truth. Yes, I'm here.
Hi.
Hello.
Hi, I'm with you.
Hi. I want to thank you so much for getting the truth out to people. Listen, I just have to say this is driving me crazy. I have been a lifelong Democrat my whole life. I am a 1995 type of Bill Clinton Democrat, I used to be a moderate Democrat.
Uh-huh.
And because of my love for the environment and everything, and a couple of other things, because the platform closely aligned a little bit more with my core beliefs of the environment, things like that.
Sure.
I don't know what this is anymore. I don't know what the Democratic Party stands for. I am horrified. The last 5 years, well, pretty much since Obama, but I am so horrified. When I saw the State of the Union address, I've never been so embarrassed for this party. I will never, as God is my witness, I will never vote for a Democrat again, ever, ever. I mean, I am so, you know, and I have to tell you quite honestly, you know, I've been over in Virginia. I grew up in Maryland, but I've been living in Virginia the last 27 years. Mm-hmm. And in the last 6 years, 5 years, I should say, 4 or 5 years, when I walk into my neighborhood grocery store, I do not know what country I'm in anymore. And this is why it's scaring me so much. I feel like we are being just completely overwhelmed. These are not people that are assimilating. These are not people that are speaking the language. As a woman, you know, who has a daughter, a couple of daughters, I am very, very concerned what I am seeing. And it has happened so fast. And these people and the women, and they're all covered up. And I'm really getting nervous. I'm getting nervous. I do not think that the Democrats of today understand what they are giving up and what they are going to do to this country. I am really terrified at what I'm seeing. I don't think they have any clue as to what the people they're voting in. I see what's happening in New York City. I see what's happening. I've got family in Europe, and they're constantly giving me the play-by-play what's going on. It is extremely dangerous what's happening, and I am just I will never vote for a Democrat again. I'm done. I'm embarrassed to say that I used to. I mean, I don't know. The Bill Clinton Democrats. That was more of a Democrat, the moderate Democrats, the common sense Democrats.
Yeah, that's
that
right.
I believed in. But I just had to get that off my chest. I am just so dismayed by what I'm seeing, and I really feel overwhelmed. Really very overwhelmed when I go out. This is my own eyes. This isn't people telling me this. This isn't, you know, social media. This is what I'm seeing with my own eyes, what I'm hearing from people that I know, and everybody's got to be quiet, right? You can't say anything because then we're, you know, discriminatory or we're Nazis or this or that, or I'm so over it. I am so over it. I speak my mind now. I have had enough. I've had enough.
I'm so happy that you called in. I'm sitting here in silence. If you could see me, I'm nodding in agreement. I'm batting my eyes along with you, and you are so not alone, Liz. There are millions and millions of people that are coming to their senses, is the turn of phrase that I like to use. And look, I remember, Liz, when, you know, in 1981, I was 21 years old, and Ronald Reagan was shot and nearly killed, and the Democrats weren't nearly as bad as they are now. But I mean, it is kind of amazing. You look at the history of political violence in the United States of America, and practically all arrows go to the Democrat Party. And you look at
that's true. That's true.
You know, from slavery to again, 4 presidents have been shot and killed. The first 3 were Republican presidents. The 4th was John F. Kennedy, and he was shot and killed by, you know, some people say, well, it's the CIA, so the deep state, the permanent bureaucracy. I don't believe that. I believe it was Lee Harvey Oswald who loved communism and the Soviet Union and had a Soviet wife. And I talk about this every now and then, Liz. Do you know that Lee Harvey Oswald's widow, Marina, is still alive and well and living in the United States?
Really? Isn't that nice?
And they had 2 kids, and their 2 kids, and she was from the Soviet Union, from Severodvinsk, an obscure city in the north where I've actually been to the old Soviet submarine base there. But, yeah, Marina Oswald, who then remarried Porter, is alive, and she's not even that old. She's in her 70s, I think, and she... And they had 2 kids, and the 2 kids are alive and well, the Oswald kids. And we're such, and it's not their fault. They didn't do anything wrong. And the wife didn't do anything wrong, but it's just kind of a crazy story. People should interview her. I'm surprised she doesn't have a show on MS or something, you know. But, Liz, you are so not alone. And you're saying you go to the grocery store and you don't recognize the neighborhood that you've lived for years and years. And
it changed really fast. I'm not joking around. It has changed so fast, and it is, everybody's using these cards. They don't speak English. They're, it's like, I don't know. It's our taxes are going out the window for things. My husband can't retire because we can't afford health insurance, but yet, these people are getting free health. I mean, I could just go on and on and on. I mean, the giveaways, the reparations, the DEI. They left. My party left me and my family in the dust. I don't even I don't know what this is. This is the Democratic Party, and I think I hope your listeners are really aware of this. There's something else going on, and I don't think we know quite yet what's going on. There's an aha moment right around the corner, and I'm not, I don't have any phobias. I have no mental health disorders. I'm an educated woman. It just doesn't, I'm a mom. I've had a career before. I've never taken a dime from Uncle Sam. I just don't. It really upsets me. My father, on my mom's side, she came over from Europe. She never even had an accent. She never took a dime from Uncle Sam. She assimilated. She did it the right way. On my dad's side, we've been here for 400 years. So we fought the wars, on my dad's side and everything. So I kind of feel like I should be able to sound off because my family's had skin in the game. And I've seen both sides of the coin. And I've got a friend that's a strong Democrat now, and she's way off to the left, off the horizon. Uh-huh. And she's always telling me, well, your mom was an immigrant. Your mom, I'm like, but she wasn't, that's not, she was a totally different immigrant.
Yeah.
We should be allowed to decide who comes into our country. It is not being discriminatory. It's, I don't know what's going on. I mean, thank God there's countries out there like Poland. They've got a clue, and we should learn from them. And
boy, you've caught up fast. You are good. You're really caught up. Yeah, Poland and the Czech Republic are saving themselves.
I'm so upset with Germany. They had some of the best health care in the world back in the 80s, 90s, 2000. They are crumbling. I mean, my family from there, they're just like, you have no idea. They want to leave Germany. I mean, they love Germany. That's their home. They can't. It's just. It's overwhelming. There's talk about propaganda and the media.
Yeah.
You can't say anything without being fined. Anything. You speak the truth about what's going on. What upsets me the most about our country is that I really feel that the immigrants now have more rights than the citizens, than its citizens that have done things the right way. I don't know what happened. Up is down, down is up, left is right. I don't even know what world I'm living in anymore. I feel like I'm living in an alternate universe the last 5 years. It's just nothing is the way it's supposed to be. There's no common decency. There's no consideration. There's no assimilation. There's no common sense. I don't know. I mean, again, I'm not a fearful person. I'm just calling it out like I'm seeing it.
Yeah.
My own two eyes.
I can hear it.
I've always been tolerant.
Yeah. Oh, I can hear it in your voice. I can hear you.
Tolerant. I'm very.
Look, and my best girl's mother, also an immigrant off the boat, and she passed away a couple of years ago, but also an Irish off the boat from Ireland and all that good stuff. And look, you mentioned that the non-English speaking with cards, meaning they're on welfare, and they've got their EBT cards and all that stuff, and you're paying for all their food, and they're not assimilating, and they're not learning English, and they're not joining the party.
They don't want to.
And they're not, and they have no intention. And the Democrat Party loves that. And Barack Obama told us all we better teach our kids to speak Spanish because the fundamental transformation of America means that everybody's a gang member and everybody's going to die of murder. I mean, that's kind of the thing. But I got to tell you, you mentioned something that reminded me of this story that we brought in today also. Progressive Representative Pramila Jayapal, who is a jihadi and hates America and white people, and she's a racist, and the Democrats put her in Congress, and they'll, run her for the Senate next, but calls for reparations for illegal immigrants, all right? This is for illegal aliens. She wants reparations because they may have been traumatized by ICE.
Oh, my God.
Right.
Oh.
This is the Democrat Party.
I see. That's the stuff. It's getting more and more perverse with every passing day.
Yep.
And I will never Democrat again, ever. I mean, the only guy. What is it? Is it Fetterman?
Yeah.
Is it Fetterman, the Congress?
Senator from Pennsylvania. Yeah, John Fetterman. Yeah.
He's the one guy, man. He's standing up, and he's got some common sense.
He was a Democrat, a good Democrat, and he had a stroke. And after he had a stroke, he suddenly got better. But yeah, Pramila Jayapal calling for illegal immigrants to be paid reparations over trauma that they sustained from the Trump administration's crackdown and ICE operations across the country. Pramila Jayapal made the shocking revelation on Friday in front of a panel of experts during a hearing she hosted titled Kidnapped and Disappeared, Trump's Attack on Children. And then they aborted another 1 million of them this year. Yeah, and they're defending children because they need to harvest their organs. Liz, you are great. I hope that every Democrat in America heard you or hears you because you are the truth, upright, walking, truth out, lifelong Democrat, 1995 Clinton Democrat, cares about the environment. The most nastiest polluters anywhere in the world are always the communists in the Soviet Union and in China and in North Korea. And, of course, the Democrats, leaving everything under a bridge or whatever. Liz, great call. I look forward to meeting you in person. That was great stuff, Liz. Thank you.
Next thing I know, I'm getting dropped off in a lay car with a fabric sunroof. All the kids are shouting at me, "Hey, Lay George! Bonjour, Lay George! Let's stuff Lay George and Lay Laka!"
Democrats hate America. Democrats in New York violently protest. And here's how much they hate America. They want our troops to come home dead.
For every U.S. military base that crumbles, and for every U.S. soldier who returns home in a casket, we cheer!
That's right. For every American soldier that comes home in a casket, we cheer. That's the Democrat Party. They're not on our side.